Hello everyone, my name is Garrett Oakember, and welcome back to the Diablo 3 Necromancer beta. I have, well, more or less perfected my build just a little bit, and so far the Frost build seems quite viable. So we've changed a few items around, mostly for testing purposes, but from what I've seen it works really well. A big issue is running out of essence. This is a problem with any build with a Necromancer. So you always have to make sure you know exactly how you can get your essence back. And I have 308, but that goes really quick, considering this is a high-demand build. Every few seconds, we have to refresh our skeleton mages. Every single skeleton mage gives us, our minions and our Army of the Dead, 250% increased damage. It's very important to have our skeletal mages up. Our skeletal mages are now archers. At first I was like, well, the archer doesn't seem that good. However, they deal more damage outright than the poison ones. Plus, since we're running a cold build, the added cold damage is an amazing boost. It doesn't matter that we have cold damage, however, to the primary weapon augment that we have. You deal 100% increased damage against slowed enemies, and triple this bonus against enemies afflicted by any other type of control-impairing effect. However, Frostburn increases our cold damage by 20%, so an extra 20% on top of that doesn't seem like a lot, but the 50% chance every time those skeletons damage somebody has a chance to freeze them on top of anything else. So, skeletons now increase my attack speed and my minions' attack speed every time they attack. On top of that, because basically it increases your attack speed by 3% for 5 seconds, that also increases the archers, because they're a minion, increases their attack speed, and it increases my command skeletons, who, by the way, every time they jump on somebody, they freeze them instantaneously. And when they jump on them, they all attack at the same time. So you see the thinking that's going on here is that both minions are augmenting each other's skills. The archers deal a shit ton of damage as well, 400% weapon damage per shot. They last 6 seconds, so you have to make sure they're up all the time. This demands a lot of essence. So, in order to compensate the essence, I did put on the Royal Ring of Grandeur, which I found, strangely enough, in a very easy, swift run of Act 1. It's the only place to get it as well. So, we did the Act 1 bounties, we got the Ring of Royal Grandeur, and I just said, hey, I'm going to try using this because there is this really cool cuirass that I found, the Requiem Seraplate, and this adds a effect to our Devour. Devour restores an additional 100% essence in life. In addition, when Devour restores essence or life above your maximum excess granted over 3 seconds, I basically have infinite essence now, to some degree. This also acts as a heal because it restores life as well. Now, it restores 100%. That doesn't mean... It doesn't mean 100%. It doesn't mean 692,000. It means 100% of that without it being literally a one-for-one comparison. That's how Diablo's tooltips work. It's a little bit strange. A lot of people have argued this over the years. I could still get a better belt, I'm sure of it, but for now that's actually helping us out immensely. So we're not fully like 100% maxed out and everything. For instance, my gems could use some levels. We got Enforcer. We have Bane of the Trapped, which I think is the best in slot for this build. Obviously, I've got the Gogok of Swiftness. I have upgraded that all the way. It's very hard with the Necromancer to get, at least with this build, to get my stacks for the cooldown reduction. I don't know if this actually makes much of a difference for this build. I could probably stand to use something better. Originally, I was thinking about using Ice Blink. Now, yeah, it's a cold build thing, but it doesn't seem that potent with a Necromancer. You can now apply chill effects, and your chill effects now slow enemy movement by additional 5%. Now, I don't know exactly the difference between chill and slow. I think chill lowers their attack speed? I don't really know that. I've never really bothered with chill, and the reason for that is, frankly speaking, there has been no Frost build before, so there's not a lot of information on it. I'm sure I could look it up and see exactly what it does. Enemies you chill have a 10% chance to be critically hit, which seems okay, but we don't really have much. 10% is a really low chance, and we don't have much in the way of relying on chill. Like, it says it instantly chills them, and it slows enemy movement by an additional 5%. It doesn't have a duration on that, though. So is that, like, a permanent buff? If that's the case, they're never going to get to move, because my minions are going to keep just messing them up. But at the same time, it's tough. Gogok of Swiftness seems like a better choice. And even then, there's probably a better gem somewhere else. Not that one, obviously. There's probably a better gem than what I have for Gogok. But for now, my testing, Gogok is doing something small for us, at least. And because you're utilizing your pets a lot, Enforcer is a necessary gem for this build. So we're going to go over some of the skills here. This is all just testing. I don't know if this is like the best build out there, but it's definitely working for me. I have surpassed all my expectations for this so far, and I don't even have the one weapon I really want to use with this. That's the whole reason I have Frostburn, the whole reason I'm doing this is that I'm going to try to make Reinhardt work. And so far, I've been able to one-shot Rift bosses for the most part. We have Frost Spikes, which will slow enemies down. This almost seems redundant now, because I gain all this essence back. I could probably stand to get rid of Bone Spikes. In fact, I think I'll do that just here in a moment. We have Skeletal Archer, obviously, that's necessary. Devour, Aura. It seems like the best thing, and so far it hasn't let me down. Command Skeletons, the Cold, Freezing Grasp, absolutely necessary for this. Bone Armor, again, this is not necessarily... This is only working for me right now, because without Reinhardt, I need extra damage, and the best way to guarantee damage is Scythe of the Cycle, 300% additional damage while Bone Armor is active, so that makes our skeletons hit harder. However, that would become absolutely redundant if Reinhardt procs, which it will very often because everything gets frozen. It becomes redundant to have the 300% when I can deal 10,000% weapon damage instantaneously, any number of hits. So that's a shit ton. That's just a little bit less than Army of the Dead. That's 2,000 damage less than Army of the Dead, which is our heavy hitting ability, which comes off. I found that with this Requiem Seraplate, I gain so much essence back. I'm able to constantly spam Command Skeletons, which drops Army of the Dead's cooldown drastically. So that's seven seconds taken off of that each time. I just keep spamming it like crazy, and that's ridiculous. In fact, I think the game has trouble catching up to that. But you definitely need Kisben's Sentence, and I think you need it in the queue because of the 100% is just too good to pass up. So yeah, these are the things I'm using. I don't know if the passives are the best for it. Healed for 10% of your life on hit when one of your minions hits an enemy. I think you need that, definitely, because you're constantly applying damage. Essence cost of Command Skeletons is definitely helping us. The Golem is inconsequential. We don't need the Golem. I might try replacing Frostspikes with a Golem, though, just to see how that works. Increases your maximum essence by 40. I think I need that because it's a lot of essence, and we're using a lot. And even though we're gaining so much back, when we are at full essence, it's a lot to have. We also have Extended Servitude. Increases the Skeletal Mage, duration and revive minions by 25%. We're not using revive. I don't know if that extra second, I think it translates to about a second or 1.5 seconds, really matters. But it definitely, helps my fingers out when I don't have to spam an extra skeleton when I wouldn't need to. It's debatable what's best, and I am getting one-shotted now by a lot of enemies in the higher torments. If they have fireballs, desecrates, and... not desecrates. Fireballs and mortars are killing me, so... Yeah, Necromancer's super squishy. I, again, don't have the best items for this character, I'm sure of it. We should try to make a better diamond here, because I could use one. I probably could stand to put more amethyst in my gear. That's probably what I'll do. do that. We're going to drop that. We're going to put that there. Let's create a few of these here. Oh, I think I goofed. No, not that bad, but... Do I have another big amethyst? Yes, I do. Okay. That works out, that works out. Yeah, so... Cooldown 1.5. It's not a lot, but it helps. I need to really upgrade my gems, but I've been escalating so fast through the torments because of this. This build is ridiculously strong. And it says I only have 303% damage. You have to remember most of my damage is coming from my minions, and they're being buffed by all sorts of things on top of everything. So this is ridiculously strong. I'm going to show you, hopefully we get a good rift for this example. I don't want to get blown up by bombardiers. I'll show you so far what this build is about. And I'm no expert by any means. I always copy the best builds out there. So you want to spam your skeletons to begin with, and then you just want to lay down constant death. And considering what I've spent on this build, every time I run over the corpses, you see how fast my essence goes up. Of course, I'm not applying skeleton mages. I have to concentrate here. Oh, there we go, we're at full essence again. We're dropping our cooldown so fast. The game can hardly keep up, it seems. And this literally hurts my fingers. This is a very spammy build. Spamming the skeletons really is just to reapply their seconds, because you want that buff up at all times. These enemies are getting a little bit stronger as time goes on, but you can see when my crits proc in, where I stand to have more crit damage. When my crits proc in, enemies are getting nuked. And yeah, there we go, we have a dagger. Again, I don't think the bone armor really works for this build at all, and my only reason for having it, once more, is just because I don't have the sword I need. But it's helping out for now. And the bone armor doesn't really seem to help at all for this build. There is a bone armor build from Necromancer, so again, it doesn't really stand to make sense that this actually works for this build. Only because I'm not gaining any extra bonuses onto bone armor. I'm not gaining the effects of all the runes. I don't have any of that stuff going on here. We're gonna grab this thing. And he is done. Enemies are a little bit more resistant here. We got some tanky fat ones, but the lesser ones get instantly gibbed. And we are still at full fucking essence. This is a really fun build. I absolutely love it. I've never had this much fun with a character before in Diablo. And see, even if the enemy could act, he's getting CC'd into oblivion. Now, there is a diminishing return that eventually takes place where the enemy that you're freezing, stunning, or whatever is going to eventually break out of. So this build expertises in that opening, all-powerful gank. And most enemies, most lesser enemies, cannot even withstand it. I am at full essence, so I'm able to constantly spam my skeletons, so I'm getting the full benefit of them. And again, this is why I think Tasker and Theo is wasted, at least on this build. I know that there's another item that increases the, every time your skeletons do something, every time they do some sort of attack or something. I didn't read it fully, but it didn't pertain to this build that I'm formulating. So Tasker and Theo would be great for that build, but this Frost build, pop that. We probably popped that too soon, but it doesn't matter because it's going to be off cooldown in a matter of seconds anyways. And our minions are blocking most of these other projectiles. It's just fireballs are really devastating because of the AoE damage. So I'm thinking maybe I could get away with a golem once I get rid of my bone armor. Bone armor is actually kind of... it's sort of messing with the build. It's funny to say that, because it's supposed to keep you alive, but it doesn't matter because of how weak the Necromancer is. They probably are one of the squishiest classes in the game. if not just because most of their abilities hurt them when they use them. Reminds me of Thanatos from Smite. Kill that guy, gonna kill this guy, got that guy. Yeah, everything's dead. I have this nasty habit of popping my bone armor when there's no enemies around me. I gotta really stop that. I'm not used to the mechanic of the bone armor. I mean, it's not like the Witch Doctor's ability. I can't keep moving while I use it. I'm mostly stationary in this build. And that's a problem. Some of you are thinking, oh, I can just use the two ring piece bonus with that. Not with this build, you can't, because you need those extra ring slots. And what I'm doing, again, to keep my essence at max, so I can spam skeletons, both kinds. See, look at that. Bam, full essence. You need to have, again, what makes them so... Whoop. No, let's not get ourselves killed, shall we? Yeah, so these guys can't even hit me. If they do hit me, I'm dead, though. So I'll do that there. Okay, sorry to have the window up there. I know that's a little distracting to some people, but... okay, so you need to have the Circle of Julian's Love. You have to have it. You absolutely need this ring. You need it for the build. And then you need, of course, you need the other ring that increases the damage. So you can't use the stationary amulet Traveler's Pledge bullshit. You can't do that with this build. Because that 100% damage pales in comparison to the 300, 400% damage we're getting. And then on top of that, you need the extra skeletons, and I am currently also using the Ring of Royal Grandeur. So I need that. I need this synergy going on with this build. Otherwise it just wouldn't work. Mathematically it's impossible. Unless they add 2 extra ring slots, which would be awesome, you would not be able to do this. I could see them doing that eventually. It's like, you have more than 2 fingers. Come on, at least give us 2 extra, you know, slots for jewelry. Or at least adding a new type of equipment, like a relic or something like that. Something that a character can really dig their hands into. Okay, now this guy kills me in seconds, so I gotta murder him. And bam, Veracity is dead. In a matter of seconds. It's not the highest torment level, obviously. The only reason I'm not on 13, and I think I can do 13 by now, the reason I'm not on 13 is only because if I get hit, I'm done. And enemies right now that have any sort of fireball or mortar destroy the Necromancer. I do not have the health for it, and I don't think it would even matter at that point. But this character is working out really nicely with this build so far. I just need to get the sword that I'm looking for, and if I can't find Reinhardt, this build is just, it's going to be lacking something. This is the first time in forever. Is that, that's not really... That could work. That could work with us if we had a better one. I just don't care to have it right now. We'll hang on to it for now. That could work with us because that procs very often, and if it blinds them and slows them, that's an additional slow. We do extra damage on slow, plus it blinds them so they can't act. They already can't act as it is, as you saw. That was incredibly easy, considering my gear, considering the level. I'm absolutely in love with this build. I am. I just designed it out of a sheer guess. I was like, hey, yeah, let's put these things together. Do I have enough to upgrade this? Please. No, of course not. And we don't have any more. Great. Yeah, it's gonna give me this ugly, ugly, ugly sword. Wow, you rolled a legendary. Ancient legendary. Don't need that in my life. I'm sorry, I'm not that desperate. So, anyways, this is the build that is helping me out. I don't have a name for it, other than it's the Reinhardt build. Once I get Reinhardt, it will really become apparent. I'm hoping the beta lasts long enough that I can find one. The bracers are really the one item besides the necklace, which I'll eventually get rid of once I get rid of bone armor. Once I get Reinhardt, because I'll be absorbing that in the cube and putting it in my weapon slot. And then I won't have a use for Wisdom of Kalan. But besides these 2 items, these are really the 2 items that really don't fit for now they work. For now they work. The belt is just gravy. Whatever belt would be best, whether that's the Witching Hour or something else. What kind of belts are there, anyways, that I can absorb? So you have the Core of the Shimmer, obviously. 50% damage. We're not using Decrepify, unless we could, but I think it'd be really spammy. There's only so much you can actually press through an animation. Gain armor, yeah, we don't know. No, that we don't need the gold wrap belt. It doesn't even say gold. Equal to the amount picked up. Oh, on gold pickup. Okay, never mind. I'm an idiot. I read that wrong. I was like, what happened? Harrington's Waistguard, no longer good at all. Health Globe, that doesn't seem terrible just because we're squishy, remember? So every time we pick up a Health Globe, we get a buff. Krelm's buff, not as good as it sounds. We've got the Razor Strap, explodes at 400% weapon damage. Useless, just because it deals damage in that area, and most of the time when you're picking up health globes, you're not always in combat, you're not thinking to use it strategically. Sash of Knives deals weapon damage as physical. Doesn't seem like it's going to help us as much. Haunt is cast on nearby enemies when you open a chest. That's useless. String of Ears reduces damage from melee attacks. Could have some use, but most of the time you see enemies aren't even able to attack us. Blocking, dodging, or being hit causes you to discharge bolts of electricity. Doesn't seem like it's going to help anyone. And yeah, again, Tasker and Theo doesn't actually matter here because of how quickly I'm able to, because of this synergy going on with Ring of Royal Grandeur and Requiem of Seraplate, I'm able to constantly restore my essence, which means I can constantly spam command skeletons. Things die in a matter of seconds. Tasker and Theo is worthless. For the once in the lifetime of this game, that's worthless. I mean, this might work. I don't know. So we're looking at, for belts, obviously Witching Hour, Dainty's Binding, and Insatiable Belt. Those are the best choices. Vigilante doesn't seem to... I mean, this is good for now, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be a long-standing belt. So this gear, this set, seems pretty complete in my mind, and I have no reason to doubt it. I'm not even at full strength, and I'm able to do things I was never able to do on other characters. I don't consider this overpowered, because again, it's a heavy glass cannon build. Maybe I can, eventually replace things. So if I was to replace bone armor, because it's shit without its other bonuses, I would immediately go to another minion. And a minion that's going to be with me pretty much forever. So we have... Let's see, sacrifices itself. Well, if we get hit, we're dead anyways. It could consider that, but I think the best ones are Flesh Golem or Bone Golem. That would be really powerful, but we need something to compensate the loss of health. That drops... No, that would not be good because it would drop their actual time. Revive into corpses. That's always useful because it means you can always have them with you. Fear, no thanks. Damage taken is reduced by 10% for each revived minion active. You can have up to 10 creatures as minions, so that's 10% damage reduction. That's a lot worse than bone armor. I'm not sure revive actually helps. This one here, spend blah 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 blah. I mean, if we have enough essence regeneration going on, we could just spam this, and that would increase their crit hit, vulnerability, or we could add in the... Well, that would probably kill us, actually. 5% of our health would kill us, I think. It's debatable. I mean, even Blood Rush could have some sort of use. 100% armor is really good. It's not damage reduction, but it's armor. It's decent. It's decent. Heals 2% of your maximum health. That pays somewhat for the cost of the health. We'd have mobility, and we'd be able to kind of negate some of the health damage. Removes the health cost. It means we could just use it and not worry. See, I want to use Simulacrum. I really do. But it's 50% of our health to begin with. Now, the beautiful thing of Simulacrum is that it copies your abilities. That's an incredibly long cooldown, though, and that we don't have anything that synergizes with that. That is a problem. Yeah. So I'm thinking it's going to be a curse that we get. And there's not many. There's not many here. Leech seems really good for, being less tanky than most other classes, because we could definitely have something that helps us. We could curse the ground, meaning that enemies that enter that, it's going to heal us constantly. It's like a reverse consecration, and that seems really strong for that matter. We also have Osmosis, basically increases our life regeneration up to 20 enemies. Enemies that die will spread the curse to a nearby unaffected target. That seems cool, but at the same time, most enemies are dying too quickly for it to even matter. Frailty, Aura of Frailty. We'd have to be pretty close to the enemy for that to even matter, but it would be nice to not have to press anything. 2 Essence when a cursed enemy dies. Triggers at 18%. Volatile Death. The problem with the Necromancer skills is they really seem really, really circumstantial to some degree. And that's cool, because it makes you really think about what you want. Poltergeist, Bone Spirit, I should say, would be really good to use. It's a free ability that deals 4,000% weapon damage. The only issue... So that one would actually be really nice, because it's both cold and it increases its damage each time it passes through enemies. Only issue with it is that it has a limited timer in which it can be used, so there's only so much you can do with it. Land of the Dead. I still want to go back to Land of the Dead. But again, we have nothing that synergizes with that. And we're moving constantly. So I do think the Golem is the best choice. Anyways, I'm going to leave this episode here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my curious nature here. And, yeah, if you'd like to see more, I want to record more of this. I just don't know when I'm going to get another chance. Thank you for watching. I will see you all later.